called Natural Connection with a Shaman. I'm your host, Shaman Odin Greywolf, and today we're live with our co host, Jamie Jette. I wanted to leave a little message. We're not going to leave the chat room open in the first beginning. We'll open it at the end because it's really hard to keep up with so many chats in the chat section, and it kind of threw me off topic last year. Open it at the end. Oops. Because it's really hard to keep up with so many chats.
I'm telling you, the gremlins are in technology today. Hi, everyone. It's crazy good, but it's crazy apparent. I mean, you can't make this up.
Right. Yeah, so we're here and we're going to actually start off by just talking about how we call in our guides. Hello, Cheryl. Cheryl, if you have the time, could you moderate in the chat room? Because we turned it off on the screen. That way we can keep up with the show. And let me put this down really quick. So we were talking about calling in our guides, specifically when we need extra energy, guidance, protection, or even to come through when we're doing a live stream, because we really don't have a topic for today. We're just going to go shoot from the hip. So
yeah.
So how
we sort of wanted to talk about anger, but I guess we don't have to talk about it. You can just go out to your front door or to the Book of Faces or even to the TV. And there's so much anger that's emulating, and I'm like, well, I know we talked about it, but why do we need to talk about it when it's surrounding us right now? So that's why I just thought, and I called my guides in. I was like, okay, there's a little extra energy just to keep smile, hope, joy, into the ethernets and the frequency. So
yeah, I agree too. I was going over the topic anger last night when I got home, and I was thinking too, like, I don't want to puff too much energy into it because there is so much right now, and it really kind of. I'm not saying that life should always be butterflies and rainbows, but what I'm witnessing, what we witness here on the Book of Faces, or in our, I don't really get it too much when I go around, because I go around people who are pretty well off, and not well off, but like our emotional behavior is regulated, right? Like I'm studying about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it teaches us that like mostly we think things and that creates an emotion and then we behave. So all this anger that others are out there, I know our last week when we had some people in the chat room, I recognize their thought process. They're in really negative spaces in their life, so they think the worst, and then they get an emotion from that thought, and then that emotion gives them a reaction, a behavior. And so, when I see people very angry, that's where I see them. I see them in a very hurt place, and I kind of feel for them because I've been there. And I remember I used to have a little game. This was how I would interview my tarot readers at our shop, the Reiki shop. And we'd go through and have everybody pull a card, and I'd be able to tell their mind state by what their interpretation of each card was. Like a healthy person would say, "Oh, clear new messages." And a person that's stuck in emotional depression would be, "Oh, spies, lies, and gossip." It would be. So it was always based on a person's state of mind, not so much even their environment, just how they think about their environment. So that's why I thought, yeah, we'll just kind of direct. We can even use anger in the topic. It's just, yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Well, excuse me. The thing is that anger is part of the emotions that we feel as human beings. And it brings me to circle back that it's okay to Feel those emotions because there's lots of them.
Right.
Anger being one of them. If you're really authentic and something is triggered, um, like I said before, we have these work things where we make these popsicle sticks, and one side is if I am becoming angry, I have to look at it and it's saying something about me. What do I need to look at? What am I resistant? Where is the trigger coming from? But if I hold the popsicle stick and it's because someone is reacting about something I said, then that is not, that's why it's on your nose. It's not about you. They are to see the sign and they see it's triggered for them. So
Yeah.
anger, I thought about it. Anger is really a normal, it's very normal emotion. It's a very normal feeling. It's a very um I don't think it I think when we get angry, I really encourage people to not put shame or guilt or why am I angry about that? No, you're mad. I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore. I love that from that movie, that goofy movie from the 70s. Anyway, get mad, but don't pitch a tent there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Let it out. You know, as a teapot needs to, it releases the steam. And it doesn't mean getting angry. I used to teach my boys, these are for hugs, not for fighting. And so um, if you can really look at your anger and try different practices, journaling, calling a friend. I back when I was little, they used to say, take a pillow and punch the pillow. I don't know why that worked, but they said it was like releasing steam. So I really think anger is okay. Just don't pitch your tent there. Just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, and there's other things like too. Anger always stems from depression, and 1 in 6 people in the world is suffering from some form of depression. So when we look back at it, the reason why you want to vent through your anger is because once have you ever thrown a full blown tantrum and then you found out you're really just mad about some little thing that hurt your feelings? Right? So much anger comes from hurt feelings, and hurt feelings come from the way we process things. There's a like in this is a deck of cards that's really easy to work with. I'm studying this so that I can pre up for my school, going back to school, trying to be a counselor. But it talks about if I text someone and I don't hear back immediately, I might assume they don't like me, which is a thought. Then I will feel sad, which creates an emotion, and send them a negative text back, the behavior. However, if we turn that thought around, if I assume they are busy, thought, I will feel content, emotion, and I will wait for a response, behavior. Now, I got to tell you, I've done this before too. I would text people and I never even thought they might be busy. I thought, oh, you're just going to ignore me? Right? And we all know how that goes because we live in a technical world. Everybody texts, everybody has DMs. And I mean, gosh, I get to the point where sometimes when I go on Facebook, I don't want to post or like anything because it's an old memory about when I would post or like something, then my phone would blow up with like 10 different phone calls. And I'm like, it wasn't that I didn't want to talk to any one of them. It's just I couldn't talk to all 10 at the same time. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we think about anger, we know that it comes from our own thoughts. So you vent that anger, buy a punching bag or go for a jog, do something very physical because it's Mars energy. Anger is Mars energy, unhealthy Mars energy. The only remedy for Mars energy is to make Mars in you sweat. So, steam rooms, jogging, punching bags, lifting weights, anything to purge through the anger. And you'll usually find out like Well, I thought negatively about this at first, and that created my emotion. My emotion was anger, and really, I just didn't give time to explain, to understand. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I had a little nap.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like,
Yeah, I think that's really good. What uh, I think anger is when you identify, once you have the temper tantrum, and oh, I've had some beauties. Of
yeah,
course, I have to pick up the mess after, but that was almost 2 decades ago. Thank God.
right.
But now learning about myself and allowing myself to get to know myself, it's really okay sometimes not to be okay. I mean, I know I've got a lot of labels, if you will, and one of them for years, they would say, positive Pollyanna. Well, sometimes I'm not positive Pollyanna. I'm mad as hell, and I don't know. So it's really frustrating for me, um, that I'm now able to see it. Like when I go on Facebook and someone is bitching and complaining about a silly entertainment program
Yeah,
on TV, and then it just goes on for like a 6 incher. And then the real trigger was that you're in a $500,000 house and you're only making $67,000 a year, and you're wondering how come you can't feed your family. I looked at Bob. I said, "Are you kidding?" Your first trigger is, I'm telling myself you're angry because when you are making the agreement on the other side, you're pissed off that you didn't choose to be that Puerto Rican boy, or you're saying, Jesus criminy, can I get a break? How am I supposed to feed my family? Well, first of all, it was a matter of choices. It's sometimes anger in these triggers. It's a reaction, and you can react or you can respond. But sometimes that when you look at it, I'm telling myself, this person wasn't mad at all that. He's sitting there saying, shit, I gotta start work next week all over again. Starting tomorrow is Monday. And
yeah,
how am I going to do it? So I'm telling myself the weight and the anger was coming from somewhere else.
yeah. It does too, and people definitely put themselves in financial burdens to where it's always got to be more. When a really peaceful life, and I've learned this from actually doing it, is to go minimalist. Now, so I got to the point where it was like I lived by whatever $20 would come in my pocket from moment to moment, and sometimes it was scary. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't stressful like back when I made 100 grand a year doing plumbing. Never was enough. I'd make 100 grand. I'd buy a bigger place. I'd get a boat. I'd get a car. I'd get insurance, life insurance. Kids got toys. Wife got toys. I got toys. And then everything I was angry about was my own fault because I was piling on debt. And it would get to, I hear it now today. A man said some things about someone who's really close to me, and I got kind of upset. He's like, "Oh well, I work and blah blah blah," and he's just harping on this man who has a disability that he cannot help it that he can't work. And I know that mentality. That man's what's he saying? What's he angered about? I work. So right there is his first anger. He has to go to work every day and make that money. And why? Well, now they live in a place where they have overextended their reach. So if he hadn't overextended his reach, he would be able to be happy about the job he has. Same thing goes for people who are so excited to start a job, right? They're like, "Oh my God, I'm praying for a job. I really need this job. God, please help me. Please help me." Then they get it, and it's the happiest day of their life. 6 months into the job, all the negative Nancy's at the work have convinced that person who was praying for a job that the job is all messed up. It's nothing good about it. Now they have fallen into the group So that's and if we think about it, that's where anger comes from. It comes from poison being spread to one another
Mm.
from small things like overextending our reach or wanting someone that we can't have or wanting items that we can't have.
Yeah. There's some things I wanted to say about that, but I'm being mindful because I know it's a sensitive subject right now, but later I I want to some information. When you get more information, my boys always used to say, "Mom, look at the facts. Look at the facts. Look at the facts. Where are you getting your facts? Consider the source." And my boys always would say that to me. And now I'm looking at just with a different um, aperture. I don't know if we talked about this, um, but when you focus on things, Bob asked me, "Do you know how a camera works, Jamie?" Yeah, you just take a pic, you just click the thing, and it takes a picture. That's how I thought. No, brilliant Bob said, no, there's a small aperture. And what it is the aperture is so focused on one little item because he was having some troublesome days. And I said, man, you need to get up out of that chair and go sit on the other side of the room and look at the perspective differently on all the beauty around you.
Yes.
And you could see the light bulb went on. The aperture of laser focused on one thing.
Yeah.
And he said, I am going to open my lens because when I'm lasered like this, Jamie, I my view about all these wonderful things around me, I am missing out. So I'm shortchanging myself. I said, yes, yes, that's it. So now he's changing his perspective and it takes practice. Don't
Yeah.
think if your aperture is rusted shut, looking at things laser focused, it's going to take a little encouragement of friends, affirmations, um, not beseeching prayers, but they say prayers are like spells.
Yeah.
We can talk about that another time. But
Exactly.
anyway, it takes some um, oiling up to get the aperture open. And
Yeah.
now, once he does that, he's going to be able to see that, wow, you can't buy anything off of any shelf of this grand experience. So,
Yeah. And that's when we get stuck in that cyclops tunnel vision, that's Uranus energy. So if you look in your birth chart, you could have, well, you look in your birth chart, then compare where Uranus is right now to where it was when you were born. And you'll see whatever's going on usually has something to do with Uranus energy. And then it's just a matter of once you're aware, once you made Bob aware, it was Bob, right?
mhm,
Yeah, once you made him aware, he instantly, boom. And sometimes that's all it takes is to find the awareness that, you know what, I'm hyper focused in this area right now, and it's really ticking me off. Like the greatest inventors, they get stuck on a project and can't finish it. And somebody who's not so focused on it comes up and, oh, look, right there, boom, and they got it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's very interesting when we take a pause. Yesterday we took a pause.
yeah,
Um, and so I think it's really important. It's okay to let the anger out, but also keep breathing. One of
yeah,
my friends, she always says, breathe, Jamie, breathe. Well, we get so wound up like a spiral spring that we're just almost like as if we're going to pop. And
yeah,
when you're aware of it and just bring yourself back down and take a few breaths or a few pauses.
right,
Um,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and that really does. It helps. It really made a big difference yesterday too. And here I was not thinking, and when you said that, I'm like, what? What? Are you gonna yell at me? Is something wrong? And, oh yeah, let's breathe. because we were caught up in the. And that's all it takes sometimes, having some mindful friends. That's why, I limit my time on Facebook because of all of that anger. And then the people that we're around that we involve ourselves with, they're not always on that anger kick. So it's really pleasant that I've seen as I healed my anger, it was like laying down footworks for others to realize, hey, I don't have to be so angry. So I watched a huge transformation in my life with not just me. It was me first, because I refused to take on any of my old characters, which recently, working in shadow work, I've learned to accept those old characters of myself and let them heal. But for the time being, as I was going through my journey, I had to work on my anger, my violence, my just jumping to conclusions. And
Mm,
it was, yeah, all of it comes back to thinking. We think our way into these problems, and then from there, it just becomes an explosion.
yeah, yeah. And guess what? We're at the edge of the shedding of the skin and at the edge of taking the reins of this fire horse that is a great opportunity for all of us for success and just grandness. You don't think a fire horse is just going to be moop, 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 moop. No,
No.
no. But that's why we're on that edge, that precipice. So with that last bit, up until next week, we're still going. You wrote it the other day on a Goetia that there's still some relationships that we're shedding. There's still that last bit. It's almost as if the butterfly is emerging out of that tight cocoon. And so is the snake. So is this beautiful snake who has now come into full growth, full maturity, just like the earth is coming into its full maturity. And it's okay. So I thought it was interesting that this explosion happened this weekend with all of this. Did you see that? Did you see that? What do you think of that? You're not my friend if you're that. But wait, what? Do you
That
think
part.
when we die on and we travel on to this everlasting realm, do you think that they have that kind of stuff over there? Really? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And that part, what you just said, is the most saddest part about all of it. You're not my. Here, you have these long life friendships or relationships, could be family, and over one little Pepsi or Coca-Cola, and
So
you're not my friend. Guess what? They both taste the same to me.
and isn't that and that's how conditioning. So
Yeah,
I'm really inviting people to perhaps sit with their shadow and start working on the deconditioning of the conditioning. We were not born hate. We
no,
were not born angry. Well, we didn't when things were uncomfortable, because remember, we came from a different realm into this one, and all of a sudden we're feeling this thing and we're wet. I got a wet diaper. Oh wait, this is hurting my tummy. I'm hungry. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. But those were not conditions. Those are part of coming into this realm.
yeah,
So with the maturity of the earth and we as human beings getting older, it's almost as if it's really important that we do work together. It's community. We
yeah,
commune, it's just important with that frequency because um, it's not heavy.
yeah,
And sometimes, Sherpas, when they go up to the Himalayas, they have these Sherpas that carry your luggage on the animals. Well, the people that are going there, they have the men, and the men have the horses. So if all of us work together and just remember our song, gosh, you got to remember your song. And if you don't know what it is, call me, call a practitioner, call a friend. We will look at it through our aperture, and then that way it will say, oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I am not all this, that everything is, I'm worthless, I'm not enough, yeah, no, 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 no.
all those.
We are, yeah, we're here to walk each other home.
And with knowing that, how our emotions all stem from these thoughts, right? And then we look at the programming of society. It is literally bombarding human beings with negative thought processes. Like that's where we get the, oh my God, they didn't answer my text, they're angry with, or they're not like, they don't like me, right? We get that from media, from everywhere you go, there's some kind of conflict going on. So it to me, it always looks like they know what they're doing and they're trying to feed vampiric energy off of the louche energy of others to
Mm.
promote their agendas. So that's the other part of it when I see anger and or discord amongst people fighting over stuff, people comparing over stuff. I'm better than you at this, or it's really just giving away your power. But it's not your fault. It's not like I'm telling people, oh, this is all against. No, it takes time to understand, pick up some literature on cognitive behavior and see how you are being led into anger, hatred, gossip, betrayal, envy, jealousy, wrath. you know, these aren't sins, these are human conditions that are forced fed onto us as a society.
Yeah, it reminds me of that movie, The Dark Crystal. I don't know if anybody remembers. It's one of the three of my favorites. But The Dark Crystal, and you can see the Setskis, the evil ones. And it's so sad. And when I look at the media, it is like they're strapping on these little people into the chairs, and they're draining them of their essence. And what do? I mean, if you, it's just so this. Um, it was from the Muppets. What's that guy's name?
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson. Anyway, they put their essence in a tube, and these Shetskis, they're so ugly and giant and evil, and they drink their essence, and all of a sudden they become young. And so, what are they doing? It's a cycle. They make you fearful. What happens with your? It just sucks it right out. You suck it. They suck it out, drink it. They become young again, and yeah, it's just so sad that this is, I told you, this happened in the Spartacus days, the Roman days. They
Okay.
discovered fear is power.
You know what? When I got home last night, there was a there was an episode, a documentary on TV that's talking about this, how even like what we believe today, like, oh, it's aliens, or oh, it's the jinn, or it's angels, even some of that has been kind of manipulated and twisted by the guy was a devout Catholic or whatever until he had become aware of this problem, that the fear spreading is the only way that the churches actually thrived. And it just brought me back, as I was watching this documentary, it brought me back to when I was studying narcissism. And a narcissism is someone who will get, if they can't get good attention, they have to get negative attention. So they don't care what kind of attention it is. They
Oh,
feed off of the attention. It's, if you're not going to look at me and give me praises, you can look at me and give me damage, and it's still feeding my purpose. And that's how I see a lot of it, because you're really right, it really is a lot like Dark Crystal. They're draining them poor little, I forgot what the Muppets are called, but them poor little puppets for the Sketskis or Sketsies or whatever, so that they could be young again. And if you look in Hollywood, look at these people who look like they're still in their 30s and 40s that are in their 60s. Yeah. What does that make you think of? It's not, I'm not saying that Hollywood is the enemy, but the feed, the collective energy that people get, every celebrity that has a fan base is loosh, spiritual energy. And it's good, but when it comes to the negative, we saw it this weekend on Super Bowl Sunday. Who's going to go over to Kid Rock show? Who's going to watch Bad Bunny? What the hell? What does it make a difference? I don't know. I liked the show. I thought it was good. The game was pretty interesting because it was a rollover, but yeah, everybody before that was fighting and literally ready to go to war over something so minute. It's just sad.
Yeah, but that's their true feelings. So,
Yeah,
um, I think it's okay to be angry. I understand. I looked at both sides and I thought, oh, I can see your perspective and I understand why you did that. Thank you for the share. But
yeah,
the blatant, um, ugly, toxic anger, um, I mean, somebody it's just getting so it's like a wildfire.
yeah,
It's just one little spark, and all of a sudden we have a wildfire out there, and it's really interesting for me to sit there and witness, wow, so what is my placement? I just was grateful that I could sit and eat, drink beer and have a few snacks,
yeah,
and then I saw other people's perspectives. They're so glad that they weren't, um and what is it, not around a whole bunch of drunks watching them chase after a ball. I mean, the perspective she had was right on point. I was, wow, there's another perspective. There's another perspective. And there's another perspective.
yeah,
So with it comes down to the power of your choice. Those people chose to ask those people on to their show. Now, um, and those people asked to have it separate on their show. So I get that. But
yeah,
what how come there is no middle? We're not even talking about the game. We're not talking about the hard hits these young men took. They're not talking about any of that. It's all this again. Here we are. We got the cross-eyed lady, but we want you to look at the beautiful red lipstick so you don't know she's cross-eyed. And that's totally irrelevant. The fact
no,
is, they're pulling off the attention instead of saying, boy, I'm so glad I'm not one of those football players. And I wonder how much are they really pumping them up full of the drugs to make the pain go away. I mean, it was very interesting how we look at it. So I go back to the idea that, in the silence, when we breathe and we choose, we make a choice to do that or not, you're still making a choice.
yeah,
But we make a choice to sit and breathe and be in the silence and really, really listen to what the signs are. Listen and soften to what your heart really says. If it's full of anger, there's still work to do.
oh yeah,
There's some nourishing that the heart is requiring. It's broken, it's torn, it's damaged from abuse, if you will. Whatever you want and whatever your um, heart has experienced is your experience.
yeah.
I'm telling you, the more I said it on my yesterday, because there's some people that say silence is betrayal.
No,
I in the silence, I came out and I said, silence is not betrayal.
no.
Silence is listening.
Hmm. Exact. My therapist told me that too on our last visit because I was telling him about, we talked about some of my previous anxiety issues in large crowds or in small crowds. And I says, really, it's just sometimes I don't know what to talk to them about. So I go silent And when I'm just quiet and I'm listening to them and just reporting back, I can see the anxious and like, why is this guy so silent? He goes, John, that's all that you have to do. He's like, being silent is doing them a service. You're listening. And he says, you will get, it's a little off because people aren't used to that. They want you to jump on every word. Exactly. Nobody talks about the middle way. And when we do walk the middle path, the we're walking down the middle of the battlefield and they're all both sides looking at us like, what is wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. What's wrong with you? You're fighting your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mother, your friend, your neighbor. You're fighting the person who built your home, the person who wired the electricity in it, the one who put the plumbing in it. You're fighting people that cook your food. When we get down to thinking about how we all work together, that imagine that, how that could kill anger and hatred towards others if you just when you start getting angry at a opposition, you thought about, well, maybe this person cooks my food. If I'm mean to them, then I'm going to get poison in my food. Maybe this person comes to repair my home. If I'm mean to them, then this person is going to cause more problems, so I have to pay for more repairs. We all do work together. That's the thing that nobody sees. There's an invisible line right in the middle that shows that both sides are yelling at their brother, their kinfolk. And it's hard to walk that because everybody wants you to choose a side. Whose side are you on? I'm on no one's side. I'm on the side of least resistance. Call me a pacifist if you want. Call me a traitor. I don't care. I live a peaceful life by walking down the middle.
But see, those words are judgment. And I
Yeah,
find it interesting because I just said, I just judge them. So the judge or judge the judge. So it is a fine line. So that's why if somebody starts to doing a name calling or things like that. I learned something years ago. My dad taught me this because like my former marriage, it was a lot of fighting. It was pretty toxic.
yeah,
And so, I'm had the baby in tow, and I'm not going to stay there, and this and that. And he's going to take my boys away, and he said, Jamie, the best way to end an argument, any argument, is just to agree with them. So I kind of thought about that. I said, what do you mean? He says, do you really think how long do you think he's going to last if he takes those boys and he keeps threatening you to take those boys away from you? Uh, the most I'll give him, he's got 4 sisters and a mom. He'll go through all of them in about 6 months. So, you know what? The best thing you can do is call up and say, okay, you can have custody of the boys.
yeah.
Oh my God, it worked so quick. He made a turn around. And I always have remembered that story. Now that's just a little one that has worked for this nugget. But there are different stories. If we start to stop, and if somebody is just going on and wanting to argue,
Oh, yeah.
I just say, you're right.
Yeah.
And I'll say the sentence. And it's really interesting how the dichotomy of that works.
Yeah.
So thanks, Dad.
That's really interesting. It is a good point. And I could use that a lot more too. I usually get baffled when people just want to argue and I'm like, what's the point in this? But I think I'm going to start going with that. Just agree. You're right. I know a lot of times I do say if there's nothing I can do that can solve the problem, then just allow them to be in their own energy. Because yeah,
It changes the dynamics. And when you say, um, you know, God, you're right, and then repeat what it is they're arguing in a form that isn't argumentative, that turns it around, that they're right.
yeah,
It's just like you can witness their physical body Change. Remember I told you life's a petri dish.
Yeah.
Experiment, 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 experiment. Because the more we experiment, the more we experience. And I'm telling myself, that's what we're here for. We're here to experience.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to take it back to my galactic family, whatever. We can sit here and have the wildest imaginations to
Yeah.
why here. But I'm telling myself, until you get on the ride and experience it instead of resisting it. Because the
Mm.
more you resist, what's going to happen? Oh my God.
Pressure.
Yeah. And the more you resist, the more it persists. So
Yeah.
there's the simplicity of just letting go of that grip, just non-resistant fudge.
Yeah. And it can happen is like, you just think of it. It brings to mind my old upbringing. Everybody was always angry, rival gangs, rival tagging crews, rival football teams, and everyone was fighting. And I remember my middle path was to just go wandering in the fields or in the forest or in the desert, because I would hear one from one side like, oh, these people are this and that. And I'm like, these people are this and that. No, I'm going fishing.
Well,
you
see,
know,
you
it,
knew at a young age that it didn't feel good. And when it doesn't feel good and you're so upset and you are tense about something, why would you park or set up your tent there?
right.
Hell to the no. Create your
Yeah.
own heaven. Create your own safe place. You have that capacity. We
Yeah.
do. We're not a bunch of, I can say a whole bunch of things. We have the capability of creating. We
Yeah.
have that.
And it's actually a very good process to create, even from your anger or your. This is a part of shadow work, actually. You take your anger, your hatred, your fear, your insecurities, all of it. And if you're a painter, put it in on canvas. If you're a drawer, put it on paper. If you write songs, put it in your songs, because this is a way to process it. And not only that, I learned this recently too. I put something on Facebook and then I didn't really agree with it. I thought, that's not really good to put on my Facebook. But somebody else read it and goes, no, you know what? That's something I needed to hear, because I feel the same exact way. And it does hurt and this and that. And I don't remember what it was I wrote about. Anyways, we had this conversation. You put it in some form of art and watch it heal not only you, but others
Mm.
around you. So
Wow,
maybe
that's really beautiful. Well, before we
that's
get too late, are you going to pull some cards?
yeah. I was gonna pull some cards and then I'll open up the chat too.
Okay.
Let's start with
I
some
want to.
cards
Can we
first.
pull some cards? Because we're on the edge. We're standing on the edge. It doesn't mean we're going to fall off. There's edges of a lot of different things, but the edge of going into this fire force energy for 2026.
Yeah, that's right. Because the snake is over in March, you said?
No, it's February the 17th to the 19th. So
Oh,
that's next
okay.
week.
So let's see.
Yeah.
Final words from the snake medicine. That's what.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got from the Cosmic Oracle deck.
Well,
Unveiling the truth. And it says you're not fully understanding a person or event. Perhaps the truth is intentionally hidden, or you're choosing to overlook a certain fact. It's time to pursue clarity and see things as they truly are. So, this is coming the medicine from the very tail end of the year of the snake. See what else we got? Profound healing is coming. So, unveiling the truth of profound healing, you're entering a period of deep soul restoration where many buried emotions and wounds are brought to the surface.
Yeah.
Multiple transformations are weaving through your life. Release resistance and allow these transformations to permeate every cell of your being. Only in full acceptance does true recovery begin. That's what I was trying to say earlier, and I got squirrel. Acceptance. It's only when we accept ourselves, like I was talking about shadow work. Shadow work is, psychology work, but also those versions of me that I hated about myself in the past. I had to go back and look at those people and not look at the version of me, but look at where I was in life, what was surrounding me, and thank that person in me, accept them because they did what they had to do to get me through.
Yeah,
So,
they're part of your movie. They
they're
were part of your cast and direction, which
exact,
is lovely. And all this is so these cards, you can't make this stuff up, John. I'm telling you.
right?
We are moving from the third dimension into the fifth. I know that a lot of your viewers understand that, and a lot of your viewers are experiencing these changes. And all that does not serve you, all that anguish, all that confusion, all that pain, all that's been stuffed down is not going to serve you in the fifth dimension. And you're going to want to be up here. So lack, not enough, don't, all those negative things that are like weeds, they do not expand in the fifth dimension.
Yeah,
Now, this is where we get to make the choice is we surround ourselves with, oh my gosh, I really do. Help me to get rid of that trigger. Help me to heal my wounded heart. Let me help me to clear this confused mind. And that's where we have said, go out into the forest, go out to, we live in the most beautiful parts of the world, and that's here in the desert. It's gorgeous. We're a few hours drive to the beach. Come on.
all right.
That will help soothe you to whatever innate will remember. You'll start remembering. So just in the fifth dimension, lack, all that stuff, arguments, separation. No, walking in the middle of the field, it'll become so comfortable. That's why you'll see both sides because you are
Exactly.
seeing both sides. Your aperture is different.
Exactly. Just like that little practice of looking at somebody and understanding that they play a role here on earth. They have a job.
Yeah.
You have services you need. You have a job. Everyone is interlinked. And that's what nobody can really see. But if you stop and take that time, this is like fifth dimension explained in three-dimensional terms. If you can't understand the fifth dimension of where you can see all sides are part of the whole, look at a person that you dislike and think about what do they do for a career and how does their career benefit you? And there you are, you're in the fifth dimension. At that
Mm,
moment, when you have that realization that that person actually does a service that also benefits you, you're connected. So
mm.
that's the easiest way. So I'm gonna open up chats right now. Sorry for all of you. We had last time the chat went so fast it strung my head back and forth. And go ahead and let us know where you're from. I see summer pants. I like that. This reminds me of that song. I got my tight pants. I got my tight pants on. Hello, Summer Pants. And Cheryl, thank you very much for helping in the chat today. Oh my God, such a big help. I had the other chat open over here, but it makes a big difference to not have it on the screen to where it takes my eyes away. And I had it right here. I saw George, and then Tibet Shamanic Farms. Politicians did create signs. It is. It's sad that the people still haven't awoken to this yet. Yeah, because once once the entirety of the world wakes up, they realize politicians don't exist without conflict. So once you see that, it's easy to help yourself. Just get out. I see a couple of
Hi, Corey. It's nice to see you. We're sending you a bunch of
oh
lot of
yeah,
love.
Corey's in there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you
Corey.
so much, everybody. This really has been helpful. We if you told us a year and a half ago that we'd be sitting here like a couple humanoids,
Yeah,
this box, 3 inch by 5 inch, I'd be saying, "Are you smoking something?" But anyway,
yeah,
thank you because we're all help each other.
yeah,
Seriously, I really believe that. And we experience. Remember, just we all took science, or if you didn't, well, they have these little plastic dishes that you put stuff in and you see if it grows.
yeah,
Okay. So with this as fellow travelers, because I believe that we're all on this journey and we're all travelers on this experience to bring back to wherever we're supposed to go.
yeah,
Um, I really think, well, like you said, John, with the acceptance and the softness of resist nothing and accept everything. Oh, it's been a really tough mantra, but it gets a little easier. Nobody likes swimming up against the current. You get tired.
yeah. Yeah, got to set sail once in a while and let the stream take you. That's an Alan Watts quote, by the way. How he talks about you just sit in the boat and you set the sail up and lay back, let the boat take you. Yeah,
Yes, thank you, everybody. Summer
yeah.
pants to you, huh?
Thank you guys all, because you guys, the listeners, are really what makes this channel. So I appreciate all of your time and energy, and we do this just in hopes to, if nothing else, help you relate. Like, you know what? I get this. This is where I'm at in life. And sometimes that's the medicine. Sometimes, like I said, that big thing I wrote and I was gonna post on Facebook. And I was like, man, this is all coming from hurt and different thoughts. I don't think it will help. But once somebody read it, it did help them because it let them see, you know what? I'm not the only one who's thinking like this. This is not going on. It's not a good situation in life at this time. And that could be really powerful medicine just to know that you are seen as well. So thank you guys for your time and coming in here and chat, cooperating in the chat. I know there was some that didn't. It looks like there was some negative quotes, but thank you, Cheryl, for taking care of those.
Yes, thank you.
And George, thank you for showing up every week, man. You are awesome, bro. You're and Corey, there's Corey, CCN4388.
Yeah,
Hey, bud, I'm sending a lot of love out to you, my friend. I know we won't talk about why, but thank you. Thank you for
yeah,
coming here, my friend.
yeah.
So, anybody got any questions in chat? You want a card pulled, or we've got about 8 minutes left?
Well, how about we pull a card? Oh, how about we pull a card? Because there's a lot of galactical stuff going on as well that they're certainly not going to talk about that on the news because the investors that they don't even speak that language. But I'm telling myself there's an invisible realm. We first started our chat with this the idea that we're calling in our guides, we're calling in. And it's okay. This is new for me too, but just say welcome. With make it easy. Don't make it a fire hose. I don't want to, get too much information at one time. But I think, and all the astrologers around the world, all these channelers around the world, they're saying it. There is we all believe in, well, some people, even if you're atheist, you still don't believe in something, means you don't believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there is a presence, there is. And so if we believe that this is all for our highest good and it's invisible, okay, why not experiment and see, wow, show me who my guides are. I mean, what about the idea that they are here? So they're saying that the galactic field really wants to come here. And remember, we talked about this last week. If you want the door open, you got to knock or ask. And that
That's
was the
right.
next to me for about 15 years. I wouldn't ask for shinola.
Yeah.
But now that I'm even asking, I'm like, okay, what is it to mind to do? So do you think you could pull a card, maybe just for the collective of what or who is trying to reach us?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull from Shamanic Oracle. Now I don't have this deck memorized yet, so I have the book for whatever card comes, but that's kind of perfect for our situation here. What do we have? We have Truth Keeper coming through. This is going with the two previous cards, Unveiling the Truth, Profound Healing. Truth Keeper's message is, I am the guardian of a timeless treasure. So this
Mm,
is not only a guide coming through to speak to you, this is a message that you keep some truth within you to be your own guide. You are your own spirit guide already and your highest self. So remember that. Let's see what the message
I
is here.
have a lot of friends, they keep referring to it. I haven't, I've only dipped a couple of times when I go into the meditation, but they can say, oh yeah, I talk to my higher self. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm glad you said that because when you slow down and go into the higher self, answers. And that's, people call it spirit, Holy Spirit. They call it the soul is speaking to you. So thank you for saying that because we aren't taught how to do that, John.
Yeah, exactly. We're never taught how to connect to our higher self because forever in the, oh, well, I guess that message ain't coming through. Forever in the Piscean age, it was all about give that power to a business, right? A business with a labeled belief, Pepsi, for you to drink. Now we're entering the era where we're starting to see that even that flavored drink they gave us for a belief was teaching a completely different message than what the churches and the synagogues and the temples were actually giving. They were giving a diluted version of Pepsi and calling the other versions Coca Cola, when in reality, it all comes from within. So when this card appears, the bird like child looks into your eyes and asks, can you hear the melody you are and the sounds that you emanate? Are you following the flow of your thoughts or that of pulsations of your heart? The harmonious melody you can perceive from your center is a call to ever more openness and respect for yourself and the treasures you carry. Will you choose to align with your thoughts in service of your unique essence? The one that will positively impact humanity. So, right there, this card is telling you to choose your thoughts wisely and try to think about where can you. I have a favorite morning affirmation. On these cue cards, I write down morning just to get my head filled with good information. The one I like the most, where can I add value to those in my life?
Mm.
Have you, if you start to think from that place, imagine how much better your life would be.
But can you reread what I had to touch my heart because it kind of went bing.
Okay.
The couple of sentences of remember something.
Okay. Let's. Can you hear the melody that you are and the sound?
Yes, right. Can you hear the melody that you are?
Right.
See, that's about remembering. We're all part of the orchestra of souls. We all have our own note. Remember that song I told you last night? Remember your song. Remember your song. And the truth always will show you that. Wow, that's so beautiful, John.
Yeah. I really like these cards. They're good. Tibet Shamanic Farms. I haven't looked ahead at the future planetary alignments just yet. I've been keeping in the present. I have a lot going on in my world. So to me, I use astrology for staying in the present moment, but I will look at it now that you have mentioned it. The 28th. See what's going on the 28th of this month. 2/28. And with that, guys, thank you all for tuning in. And I'm glad to be here and glad to have you guys here as guests and part of the show. I love the interactions. What is the leap year? The leap year is something that they had to do 6 planets. Okay. Chat's going a little too fast for me. All right. All planets line up exactly but Earth. Anytime the planets line up, it's a powerful time for
And
manifestation.
it's in Aries. Ooh, it's in Aries. So look that up because it is so powerful. That is where there's going to be success. There's going to be new birth. There is going to be a new you emerging. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Whoever brought that up. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's going
But
to be in Aries. The planets align in Aries. And
but
it's not a bad thing. It is a great thing. And that's coming from a Pisces.
but is it in Aries or is it going to be in Pisces?
I'm
Because
believing that the planets all are lining in Aries, even though Pisces is coming up. For some reason, the word
oh
Aries comes to mind, reminds me. So I'll get back to you on that
yeah.
because
Well,
I just
I
heard.
only ask because zodiacal astrology tells what's actually in the sky. So
Okay.
it's not going to be in Aries. That's Western. That's another veil. That's another Western astrology is absolutely amazing to get your start in working with astrology. But it is not what is in the sky. So we are
Mhm.
studying an astrology that keeps you out of alignment. And that is part of the delusion of how they're able to spread fear, spread political influence, hypnotize the masses, because they use Western astrology when actually, if you tap into zodiacal astrology, what's actually above you, you will 100% see a difference. And it's
Wow.
all the difference in being angry and hostile to pulling your dreams into reality in this moment. This is where we actually are. Tap into your intuition, your dreams, your wonder, your imagination, and create something from that. We're not in Saturn and Neptune are not in Aries, they're in Pisces. So it's a whole
Mhm.
different boat. So that's why I say that. Is it if it's in Aries, it would be a hostile energy, but it's not going to be. Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much.
That's
Huh?
good to know. I,
Yeah,
I didn't know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
of course. As a matter of fact, I was gonna show you the website. I'll come by Thursday and show you how to look up the lunar journey coming up, because we've got 2 more days until we drop our notes. I sent you a text message with the stuff about the moon the other day.
Yeah. But you're going to do this for your subscribers as well, because we've been talking about it for weeks, and I think there's lots of us that are anxious to plant that. So if you would, maybe I'll do another short or whatever that magic you do during the week, because I literally I have it marked on my calendar. Okay, 4 days before the new moon. It's very important, and if I'm feeling this, and I'm telling myself, maybe others are as well. So thank you, John.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I will, and it's every 2 days once we start. So
Okay.
that means in my 3D world, every 2 days, I got to take some time and write that down. I'm just putting that out there for the 3D world I live in. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much, Jamie, for this visit. I had a great time, and
Thank
I'll see
you.
you guys all next week at the same time. And in between, I'll put up some videos. So you guys take care. See you
See
later, Jamie. Bye bye. Thank you, guys. And